This is Nadine bringing you Ventura Vibe, a podcast featuring the local treasures of people and places that make our community here in Ventura so special. I've got interviews, games, community resources, and volunteer opportunities to get us connected. So let's get started. On today's show, we are talking about Ventura's Westside. And with me is Ventura's own Jackie Pearce. She has her finger on the pulse of the Westside, as she is a longtime resident and the executive director of the Westside Community Development Corporation. Thanks so much for joining me, Jackie.
Hi, glad to be here.
So why are we talking about the Westside? First of all, the Westside is the oldest neighborhood in Ventura. There's a lot of energy and revitalization going on in the Westside, and I thought it'd be great to talk about it with Jackie Pearce because her organization is part of that synergy, connecting residents and businesses to resources and funding. So what's going on in the Westside?
Big question. So we have a lot going on. One thing that I just left a meeting for this, so it's kind of on the top of my head. So I'll share that first and then
Great.
Go on to some other things. But one thing that's coming up, it's called Va por la Avenida. And for those that have lived for a long time in the community, the Westside community, the Avenue, and I should also state where our name comes from.
Please.
The Avenue is kind of the colloquial word that is used by residents and businesses, people that have lived in that west side of Ventura. It is the name that is the main corridor street. So, through history, we just got coined the Avenue. However, some people felt that when they were trying to find names for organizations to really represent the entire area, a lot of people didn't have a business or live right on that main drag, the Avenue, so they changed it to the West Side. So some of us are still very favorable to, the Avenue because that's so original. It really reflects who we are, but because it's not just anywhere in America. West Side seems pretty general. But nonetheless, we've embraced this organization that I joined in, by the way, in 2015, I already had that name. And so Westside Community Development Corporation is based on just that thinking process. There was conversation, just side note here, that one of my board members said, well, it'd be great if we went through a name change and called it Avenue Community Development Corporation. And then that way we could be called ACDC. But anyways, so the Avenue used to have an event that was called Avenue Days. And it's very romanticized and celebrated by people that have been in the area for a long time. And always, it comes up in any kind of conversation of like, what would be a great thing for the Avenue or the West Side to have for the community. And a lot of people say, oh, Avenue Days, let's bring back Avenue Days. Or if they're not familiar with Avenue Days, it's just, how about something that's just reflective of the Avenue or the West Side, and get everybody out and, celebrate our hidden gems and celebrate our eclecticness and just really empower and engage the community, all our nooks and crannies like galleries and art studios, our new Kellog Park.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll
too.
get to that. And our businesses, as well as our abundance of new murals that have been popping up. And so with that, the WCDC and Bell Arts Factory collaborated on a grant, and we received the grant. Bell Arts is the holder, really, of the grant, and we are the partnering organization and have coined, instead of calling it Avenue Days, it's called Va por la Avenida, and it's this Let's Go Avenue or Go to the Avenue, and it is a quarterly event. And so every quarter, every season, there'll be a new theme for 2 years. And there was enough funding to spread it out for 2 years. We're really excited. We hope, of course, there'll be perpetuity, continue to go on, depending on funding. But super exciting because it's really just an opportunity for the West Side, the Avenue, to shine. And
Will there
invite
be
others.
a festival and outdoor celebrations?
Oh,
or-
yeah. So pretty much it'll start off at Kellogg Park, and there'll be different performers. And then from there, hey, everybody, you are not dismissed. You're dispersed out to, go get something to eat at all our taquerias, because we have so many. And we do have some other eateries, but we do have a large taco district.
Yes.
And then go and visit our galleries, and go visit Bell Arts Factory, our iconic gallery and art place on the avenue, and go see the businesses that are also opening their doors and offering different activities that are family friendly. So, for example, our Panaderia Herrera, which is a bread store, they're going to be making pan de muerto, because pan de muerto, which is the Day of the Dead kind of bread, is obviously preparing the community for Dia de los Muertos, which is at the end of the month. So I should say that for the Va por la Avenida events, they're based on themes too, to give the artists that are participating something to create off of that theme. So the first theme will be offering, o ofrenda in Espanol. And then in December, for example, will be posadas, which is, a very seasonal, traditional activity that's done by the Latino community. And then in the spring, it'll be primavera, springtime. And then in the summer, it'll be movimiento, movement. And so these themes, artists can just have creative liberty of what they're going to do for that, and the businesses as well. And definitely not super structured. You have to be within this, but very exciting. So
exciting.
Yeah, there'll be maps. There's a website, vaporlaavenida.com, and posters are in the works right now. So people on the west side should start seeing all that. We invite outside of the community to come, of course, but it's definitely to rally up the folks on the west side. And in essence, you could our tagline would be like Art Walk meets Neighborhood Block Party.
Oh, that sounds
Super
amazing.
Fun. Yeah.
And fun.
Very fun.
Count me in. I'll be
there.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
Eat and see and practice too. So a lot of the galleries it's hands-on.
Oh.
It's very hands-on too for kids.
Oh,
and
that's very
folks.
exciting.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear. Well, I want to also talk about Kellogg Park. Can you talk about your connection with the park?
Kellogg Park is definitely our most favorable gem on the avenue right now. I mean, it's just a meeting point for the community to hang out, view just the beautiful scenery. It was so beautifully designed. It really embraces the natural elements in the area, very reflective of our topography, so to speak, because we're, a drought climate area, so low water usage. And anyways, my involvement started back in 2010. And that was when I was working with the program First Five, and I worked with families. I worked with parents and children, and recognized that there was this need for outdoor recreation, outdoor green space, and we were green space deprived on the avenue for that type of play. We did have our sports areas, and we do have a bike path, but those are kind of on the peripherals of the community. But something really centralized and visible to keep it safe, eyes on a park kind of thing. And so I got involved in champion basically this park. Met with public health at the time. They were going around and pulsing the community, what the residents wanted. And so I attended a meeting with the caveat, I guess, I think that's what you say, that I would only be a part of this effort through public health if I could get a park. And they thought, oh, well, that's a big goal, but okay, come. So we started there, and then I got involved with the Westside Community Council. And then from there, other partnerships, it was like a snowball that just kept on getting bigger and bigger. And then lo and behold, I mean, it was passed by city council and supported by city council and staff. And throughout all the years from 2010 up to when it opened, which was 2018, I've just, been rallying behind and in hopefully encouraging other residents and participants, get involved. And I think we all achieved that together. It's I like to say, and if anybody's read it, any of the stories behind it, that it was kind of like a birth for the Avenue.
Yeah.
We were just, it was something we were waiting for, and there was only just positive energy behind it. People just either supporting financially or just by attending all the meetings or organizing some of the events to get the thing going. And it just was such a unified vision for the community. It means a lot. It was a turning point for a lot of us to know that the Avenue is a place that takes care of things, because there was a little skepticism, like, well, what's going to happen after it's built? Is it going to get vandalized? We kind of had this unfortunate reputation. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that we had to communicate when we were convincing council and staff that this is something that the community needs. Was we need this, and we will take care of it, and we are ready to just embrace this as part of the community.
Yeah.
And
pride of ownership.
Total
right?
pride of ownership. Yeah. Right. So, and that is definitely what we've seen. So currently, if you want to know my current involvement with the park, yes, I've helped mobilize a generous organization that's right like 2 blocks down. It's called Lifeline Outreach, and it is a recovery program for men, and asked, hey, do you want to, volunteer and clean up the park and just get your guys out? And they said, oh my gosh, this is just wonderful. The guys need to feel like they're a part of the community and give back. And so they've embraced that role. So the park is in good hands. So we have people cleaning up. This past weekend, we did a mulch day where the mulch started to break down, of course, after a year and a half of use. And so we had a mulch day, and we have another mulch day coming up. So when you want to talk about volunteers, oh my gosh, we could recruit more.
Oh, great.
And then, other events have started to take place there too. So Va por la Avenida will use it, and I'm involved in that.
Great.
So yeah, that's my
a lot of
connection
things coming
to
together
Kellog
right over there.
Yeah.
Great. We're going to take a little break right now.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned. Thanks for listening to Ventura Vibe, a podcast celebrating the local treasures of Ventura, California. I'm your host, Nadine. I'm talking with Jackie Pearce, Executive Director of the Westside Community Development Corporation. And we're talking about some of the great things happening on the West Side. Now I'd like to focus a little bit more about the WCDC. There's a lot of revitalization happening. How is your organization involved? Explain a little bit how the Westside Community Development Corporation works.
So the Westside Community Development Corporation primarily sustains itself off of a government grant. It's called a CDBG grant, Community Development Block Grant. And as a result of that, we're sort of steered by what, that grant wants us to do, and that is neighborhood revitalization. If you sort of analyze how a federal grant works, and by the way, that grant is, it's HUD. Okay. It comes from HUD. They're way back in Washington. They obviously don't know all the nitty-gritty details of what a community needs, so they find nonprofits that are very grassroots-oriented, know the community, and have them embark on strategies or programs or projects to assist the community. So some of the things that we've come up with in the 4 years now that I've been with the organization is our continued neighborhood pride cleanup events. They're biannual. We supply all the dumpsters. We select a location. We select the target streets, and we try to encourage and mobilize the neighborhoods, the selected neighborhoods, to take pride of, their streets, help neighbors with transporting debris. Those are very costly for some families, or you just, or if you're elderly or you're unable to move large items, it's an opportunity to get assistance to move those items for free. So we supply that biannually, free to the West Side community only. We're pretty territorial in that. the dumpsters aren't cheap. And
Yeah.
the volunteers are only around for a certain portion. So we do recruit volunteers to do that. And then in addition, we do educational resource workshops, and they're always bilingual. And the number of different subjects from how to become a homeowner or financial literacy, educational resources for adulting, for those that are just coming out of high school. What are the different avenues that are available? We also do workshops on how to expand your business, how to create a business. We do workshops on tenant rights and responsibilities. We've done workshops on communication strategies. We've done workshops on water saving practices and energy efficiency practices as well. And so, in essence, we're trying to, as best as possible, provide resources for the community so they can live sustainably.
Right.
But all that is done through partners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then one of our big things, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
One of
Tell
our
me.
big things is our mural beautification project.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's the most visible. And so in that program, it's called One Block at a Time. We partner up with a property owner, and we incentivize the property owner to make some facade improvements or make it more accepted, which is a government term for crime prevention through environmental design.
Oh, so it's an acronym.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And by doing that, then we reward them in a sense with a mural. We partner them up with a muralist, and we go for it. And we've had 3 successful projects so far, and we have another one in the works right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you inform the residents of all your wonderful programs?
Different ways. So we have a lot of flyers.
Okay.
We distribute those amongst all the businesses that we've made a concerted effort to reach out to through our Westside Business Network. So we have that as well. We post the flyers at the new kiosk that was built by the Girl Scouts troop that is based on that avenue at Kellog Park. And then we also have a Facebook page, and we also have a website.
Oh,
Yes.
why don't you tell us your website right now?
Our website is www.westsideventura.org. And on there, you'll see stories, Westside stories, different scenarios or stories that have occurred on the avenue that we feel are like kind of feel good stories.
Oh, good,
See
good.
what's happening. But
Now-
also ways to connect and whatever events are happening. We have a calendar of events
Okay.
on there, and the explanation of the different programs that we have too.
Excellent. Now, I did take a look at your website,
Mhm.
and I saw that one of your partners is Habitat for Humanity. And I just want to know, how do they impact the West Side?
So in the past, Habitat for Humanity was one of our partners in doing our workshops on the home buyer and home ownership.
okay.
So they would come in and they would provide information on the home repair program.
Okay.
And then we would scout out potential homeowners on the avenue that might be qualified or eligible candidates to do a home repair, which is really a great program that Habitat offers. There's been some funding issues in the last 2 years, but it's starting to resurrect back where there's some resurgence of fundings. We're crossing our fingers. But in the meantime, I joined the board of Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, excellent.
And that was strategic. Our board, with the WCDC and myself, agreed that it would be great for us to have representation at the table, literally.
Yes.
Because, unfortunately, throughout the county, Habitat has done an amazing job, and they've built over 70 homes in the county.
Wow. That's quite
Yeah, but they've
big number.
never built in Ventura.
Oh,
So they've built in Oxnard and Camarillo and Santa Paula other areas, or Ventura County, but they haven't done any builds in the city of Ventura. And if they do a build in the city of Ventura, I want it to be on the avenue.
Yes.
So we've been scouting out. We've been talking a lot and trying to find places that would be a good fit. But it's challenging because we are dense. But it would be a great, it just give you a great opportunity for families.
Yes, definitely. Oh, I'm so glad to hear. That's good news. I do want to ask, how can residents stay informed about issues going on in the community? Are there regular meetings? You mentioned something about the Westside Community Council.
Yeah, so the Westside Community Council is actually our sister organization.
Okay, right.
The Westside Community Council formed before the Westside Community Development Corporation. And to be honest, those names used to confuse me before I joined this organization that I'm in right now. I thought they were one and the same and didn't know the difference between the two. So in all fairness to everybody, who, I don't expect anyone, it's WCC and then the WCDC, and it can be really confusing. But nonetheless, the WCC, Westside Community Council, is like an information venue for the residents and businesses of the Westside or stakeholders. And they meet regularly every first Wednesday of the month at Bell Arts at 6:30. And I attend those meetings as well. Yeah. And we even have one of the board members. Our board members is the chair of the WCC. We work closely together to keep people informed and, division of duties. Excuse me. Yeah.
Excellent.
I know.
Okay. I know. We're just moving along here. Yeah. I have one final question for you. Where do you get your Ventura vibe on?
So I love riding my bike, Nadine. I guess is that what you mean?
Yes, yes.
So, I love going up and down the avenue on my bike, and some of the folks have seen me. It's my big cargo bike, and pack things in there, going to work and back, or going to the yoga studio, which is also my favorite place to be as well, which is right next to my office, which is amazing. And then of course I can ride to Kellog Park, or I can ride downtown Ventura. And so I feel very fortunate that I can.
It's hard to pick just one. I see. Yes. Okay. Excellent. Thanks. Okay. Now we are going to play a game. Mm-hmm. I'm calling Westside Best Side.
Yeah.
Jackie is going to have to give me her list of answers using only places found on the West Side. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay.
All right. Oh. Best place to view a sunset.
I would say if you go all the way up Seneca, or you go above De Anza Middle School, there's a trail up there, and you get an amazing sunset if you go at the right time. Yeah.
All right. Best place to read a book.
I would say our Treasured Avenue Library, especially if you're going to be reading children's books, because they have a cute little selection there.
Best place to ride a skateboard.
Oh my gosh, West Park Skate Park, which is going through an expansion effort. So I got to do shout out for that too.
Excellent. Best place to do art?
Fun place to do art is Bell Arts Factory, of course.
All right. Jackie, you've won the game. Woo! You have won this vintage Ventura postcard, part of a series. I collect them, but I'm going to give you my latest one.
Fun.
Thanks for being a good sport.
Thank you.
And now it's time for the community chest segment. I like to highlight some volunteer opportunities because our greatest resource in the community is our local residents. Jackie, does your organization have volunteer opportunities?
Most definitely. And we have one in the works right now. It's called our Changemakers Volunteer Day. And if you go to our website or our Facebook page, you can totally get all the links for how to sign up. Or if you can't even participate like physically, there's also opportunities to donate supplies or lend supplies for the day. But on that day, there's a number of things that happen. We do a little bit of painting, mural prepping for the next wall, or mulch. We're going to do some more mulching at Kellog Park, business outreach with some information that they need to get in their hands. And then we also have a graffiti removal task force. So there's a number of things that are happening. That's a biannual event, by the way. And then also we're in the works of creating an Adopt a Block program. And that'll be launching in January. And that is an opportunity for organizations to adopt a block on the west side. And you'll be supplied a kit. And we just got a donation from Era Energy. And it's substantial. And that will supply, that funding is enough to supply us with all these kits that will equip the adoptees with, trash picker-uppers, trash bags, if you want to install a dog bag dispenser or a ash can dispenser, sort of,
Wow.
Look at what are the needs of that block, and let's go for it. And so each block is
Excellent.
taken care of. So, we're looking for partners on that.
All right. Well, that sounds like a bunch of great opportunities.
Yeah.
All right. I also want to mention a different kind of volunteer opportunity. Ventura County Fire Department, in coordination with FEMA, our Federal Emergency Management Agency, have joined together to assist Ventura residents with disaster preparedness education and training, CERT, which stands for Community Emergency Response Team. Educates volunteers in basic disaster response skills, such as fire safety, team organization, hazards that may impact the area, and disaster medical operations. I participated in the class last year, and I think Jackie's husband was in the class too.
That's right.
And I found it really helpful and incredibly informative. All information on how to register and class schedules is on their website. Check out vcfd.org/CERT. That's our show for today. I want to thank my guest, Jackie Pearce, for joining me today. I loved chatting about the Westside.
Thank you, Nadine, for having me here.
Thanks so much for listening to Ventura Vibe, a podcast dedicated to celebrating the community of Ventura, California.